Today we're going to talk about an accessory product for the reproductive system, primarily for the female reproductive system, and that is Progessence Plus. Hi, I'm Dr. Peter Minke. This is Minke Wellness. And sometimes, especially women in certain times of life need extra boost, need extra support that's more specific. And so here's where a product like Progessence Plus comes in. But there is a reasonable guideline on how to use this. So let me help you think about how to use a product like Progessence Plus, and then you can kind of modulate it yourself. The reason there's not like one answer that's going to fit everything is because everyone's different. In fact, it's different every day, as you know from looking at the female reproductive system, the cycle, right? You see the hormones going all over the place, right? So the thing is about if you're a cycling woman, you need to think about it differently than if you're post-menopausal, okay? And so there's some things to consider. So let's just talk post-menopausal because that's the easy one. And that is, it's basically a boost, okay? You're giving a boost. The hormones drop down can be pretty significant, especially if you've lost the ovaries to surgery. The adrenal glands are supposed to take over. You see, the adrenal glands are supposed to take over and supply those hormones for you. Still be at female levels. In other words, not modulating as much as a cycling woman would, but you're still going to have higher progesterone, higher estrogen than a man. Okay, and so if you don't, and those hormones drop down, and then you have your testosterone might come up, you actually start getting darker hair, kind of thing that would happen with the hormones out of balance. There's also some things that happen with the hormones out of balance in terms of libido, right? You're not interested. Now, what's interesting, and I know what we talked about, we'll talk about this more in the context of overall hormones, but a woman who's low in testosterone can also have low libido. In other words, we all need all of them. We all have all the hormones. And they just need to be balanced in ratios. So that's the trick, right? That is the key thing. Now, like I said, for postmenopausal women, if you're really low in progesterone, that's going to affect your bone density. It's going to affect your interest, your energy level in general, and you'll start to see what happens is as the adrenal glands aren't doing their job, the thyroid is trying to do the job that the adrenal glands would do in terms of producing hormones. Well, it can't. Doesn't function that way. So then the thyroid wears out. And so one of your early signs is your thyroid actually is sluggish. And you go to the doctor and your thyroid looks normal, levels look normal by the blood test, but for some reason you still have all the symptoms of low thyroid. And so occasionally a doctor will actually say, well, why don't we try a little bit of thyroid? And you try a little bit of thyroid and you feel better, but it doesn't last. And that's where we're really dealing with, you need to get the basic hormone system underneath all that, which is the adrenal system and all the sex hormones balanced. Okay, so a product like Progessence Plus to support the progesterone side of things is not an unreasonable thing to use to support that part of it. Now recognize you're only supporting one half, but here's the reason why progesterone is something you would want to think more about in terms of supporting, and that is because when the stress hormones, when you're stressed, you burn up the progesterone first. That is what gets shunted into producing stress hormones. So we definitely lose the progesterone quickly, and so getting something that can help boost that back up would be a nice support. Okay, so the support product Progessence Plus is something that we would be using when you need that, feel like you need that extra boost to the progesterone system. And now the question is how often, how much, that kind of thing. Can you overdo it? Well, yeah, you can overdo anything, right? You can overdo drinking water. So you need to be reasonable about it. But that's where hopefully by now your body awareness has increased. You're more aware of what's going on in your own body, so that if you use a product and you would know and get a feel, okay, that can actually help. Sometimes if you get too much of progesterone, for example, at one time, you can get your heart rate can go up and you can feel a little bit warm. So that would be an unpleasant overdose reaction kind of thing to getting too much of a progesterone boost. Okay, so there are some things that would go along with oh, that's too much. The other side of it is, you maybe get a little bit of a boost, you feel a little bit better, but that it's not a real clear one, and it starts to wane pretty quickly. It only lasts, hour or 2 hours. And that's where, okay, well, maybe I need to redose. So I would think that it would be much better to do small doses throughout the day of a product that supports progesterone rather than something that's going to be a hit all at once. And so something you carry with you and do one drop at a time. Sometimes half a drop. How do you get half a drop? It'd be a little harder to do. But one drop. And if obviously it's a little challenging to talk about. Well, anyway, let's leave it at that. So dosing on a progesterone supporting product would be a little bit all throughout the day, and then see how you feel. I wouldn't go for the massive, one hit all at once. So that's kind of the way that would be, you'd think of using a progesterone supporting product no matter what, would be a little bit over a longer period. Spread it out. Don't hit the system all at once. So post-menopausal women, much more liberal. Use as you need to get support, and then try to find a stable dose, a maintenance dose, and then even try to back down on it. Give your body a chance to do its own supporting. Right. Ultimately, this is any product that supports a hormone thing. You really want to try to get your body to do its own hormone balancing and own hormone production instead of adding extra hormone from outside. So now, let's talk about cycling women, because that's a very different scenario, okay? So postmenopausal, like I said, use as you find your level, find your amount. And it could vary, it could be a little bit more, a little bit less. Your stress level goes up, you're going to need more. But here's the thing, don't use any product that supports the hormone system, for example. Don't use it as a crutch, as an excuse to say, okay, I'm going to go ahead and stress my system out. I'm going to burn up all my hormones, and I'm just going to use a product that outside so I can keep going. So I can keep running the same stress level and all that. That is a recipe for disaster. That's a recipe for crash and burn later on, when you no longer have the resources to recover from it, or much less resources to recover from from a major drop. So you don't want to push the system. Use it as an extra support while you're making lifestyle changes. Okay, now cycling women, different story. So you want, if you're supporting the progesterone system, it comes after ovulation. If you support the progesterone system before ovulation, you're going to interrupt your cycle, okay? Now, there are some cases where a cycling woman is so low in progesterone that progesterone support throughout the cycle would be warranted, but that would not be the norm, okay? I would think that typically you would start out saying, okay, post-ovulatory, after I ovulate, I'm going to use the progesterone support, and that, of course, would be support that you would need to support a pregnancy, or just the mood issues associated with the different changes part in the way you feel right before you start your next cycle, the way you feel before ovulation. Those are signs that the hormones are out of balance, and so the ones before ovulation would be more of the estrogen cycle, estrogen part, although it's not an absolute. Some people get, by supporting the progesterone system, they get some benefit from those, things that happen in mid-cycle, where you start to have a little bleeding or spotting associated with ovulation, or mood changes associated with ovulation, may be supported by a little bit of progesterone. So it's not an absolute. You might just have to, play with it a little bit and see. The problem, again, is that there's not really one piece of advice we can give that's going to cover all the bases. So you just need to know what your body is doing and follow it. You need to be more body aware, more body smart. Okay, that's a key to your wellness. And I've been trying to get that point across the whole program here. So please, build your skills, do your breathing, get your awareness up. Get rid of those synthetic fragrances that are going to disrupt all of your signals for your body awareness. Okay, get rid of fluoride, which is a homeopathic that gets rid of your signals. In homeopathic doses will get rid of, will cut off the brain connection. So you want to get rid of some of these things that are affecting your ability to pay attention. Okay, so back to cycling women. They're, like I said, post-ovulatory. You can use extra support for progesterone, very reasonable, especially if you're pregnant and you want to help extra boost support for the pregnancy. You need more progesterone. Okay, so that's definitely a time where, again, you would use I would still want to use a progesterone supporting product in a small dose, more frequently manner, okay? And so you could increase. Now, if you're dealing with a particular symptom of something, some imbalance that's happening right before you're starting to, right before you're going into your cycle, for example, either right before you're menstruating, then you would look at saying, okay, I want to use a drop, and then see if it's helping, and then maybe an hour later use another drop. In other words, you can dose pretty close together and see if you can find your dose that works. Now, sometimes people have identified for them that they need 5 drops right away that cuts an edge off of certain types of symptoms. So again, these are symptom management, which is not really the way you want to kind of think about a wellness approach. So again, I encourage you want to get overall healthy and not just use a natural product as symptom management either, okay? So you don't want to do that. But again, overall, as a way to support the progesterone system, for a cycling woman, some cases are so low in progesterone across the board that a regular small dose of progesterone throughout the cycle can be a boost. If you boost the progesterone system pre-ovulatory, you're going to mess up your cycle. You're going to mess up the signals for ovulation. You can actually even, if you're right before delivery, you can push a delivery off. In other words, you would prevent the messages of delivery where there's a natural drop in progesterone. You could potentially keep that baby in too long and go past your due date by using enough of a progesterone supporting product. Okay, so you want to be aware of those kinds of things. Okay, that's the basics of how to use a progesterone supporting product, and I hope this has been useful for you. Again, keep in mind more of a wellness approach is going to be better overall. Happy wellness.